So there was a Shonen Jump interview that came out back in 2016 that I completely missed out on, and Sawyer7mage, another YouTuber in the community, actually brought this interview to my attention. I'll link his video down below in the description, and if you guys want a little gist of it before I start going in depth, and there's some actual stuff we could pull out of here that'll give us some foresight into the future of the Boruto series. It is pretty much Shonen Jump being this intermediary between Kishimoto and his third assistant that's been working on the Naruto series for 15 years. A guy who up until recently I thought just did maybe some minor edits, some highlighting, some backgrounds, maybe drew some stars in the sky, maybe did some scribbles here and there telling Kishimoto in his ear like, you can't do that, bro. You know, maybe things like that. But come to find out, he was actually pretty vital in a couple of characters' creations that, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, really hooked me into the series as a whole. Apparently this dude designed Zabuza and Haku. Now, of course, it's not writing the actual characters' personalities and the story. That's important as well. I mean, everybody loves the Land of Waves arc. That's an arc that got a lot of people into the story, right? But you can't undermine the importance of the character designs, because if Zabuza was not as cool as he was with this like leggings and with this big giant sword and that nasty look in his face as he's talking down to you because he's a jonin, and then you got tranny Haku there who everybody thought was a girl at first but ended up being a guy with these amazing abilities, these icy abilities. I mean, you probably wouldn't have loved these characters as much as you did, even though their personalities, again, were written by Kishimoto. So assistants are very important. We cannot undermine them. Apparently this dude also designed third Hokage's battle gear, right? So not the third Hokage himself, but when he takes off the Hokage uniform, right, and he's in battle gear, he's ready to kick some Orochimaru ass. Apparently, yes, this guy designed him. And I wouldn't be surprised if this guy had some say or some direction in other characters, like even Jiraiya, because there is similarities between third Hokage's battle gear and Jiraiya's gear, for instance. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's other characters that they're not letting us on about that this dude actually designed. Now, Ikemoto's behind the art in the Boruto manga, so that's where all of this is relevant, and that's not only it, right? He is the reason why Boruto exists in the first place, and that is insanity. So the dude's not even writing the story, but the dude behind the art, the dude behind Zabuza, Haku, and third Hokage's gear is the reason why Naruto had a kid. Alright, maybe that's going a little bit too far, but it's the reason why we have a continuation. And for that, you gotta give this guy major freaking props, because if it just came out that this dude helped Kishimoto out 10 years ago and he edited some stuff and he was vital behind some of these characters, I would have been like, yo, that's really cool, but we've already moved on from that, so let's talk about something else. No, this guy is still important in the direction of this series, and who the hell knows where he's going to take the Boruto series, because Boruto manga and Boruto anime, while things are slowly happening in the anime that are sort of disconnecting it from the manga, like Denki, Iwabe, Sumida the class rep, they're still in the anime, yet they don't appear in Boruto Naruto the movie, and they don't appear in the manga, right? And keep in mind, Ikemoto isn't involved in the anime, he's only involved in the manga, so you could say maybe in the future he will lose some kind of like control over the series, but I still think they're going to use it as a reference, and I think they're still going to adapt the stuff we have in the manga and to the anime. They're just going to do things a little bit differently, and I think Ikemoto's still going to be involved in the anime once it passes the manga. But right now, he don't gotta be, right? Because the manga is still ahead of the anime. First off, please tell us how the two of you met, Shonen Jump asks. Let's talk a little bit about the origins, then we'll get to the important stuff. Ikemoto responds, we first met over the phone, right? Kishimoto responds, yes, it was on the phone, though I did know you from before that. You entered a one-shot called Cosmos in a weekly Shonen Jump contest called the Tenkaichi Manga Award. I think you got the top award. And Ikemoto responds, yes, that's right. Kishi follows that up with, I was a rookie at the time and heard there had been a really good contest winner, so I looked into it and it turned out to be Cosmos. I wondered what kind of guy you were before I even met you. And Ikemoto sensei says, it was the same for me. You had won the award before me, so I knew of you and was curious about what kind of person you were. Kishimoto sensei responds, our works were very similar, probably because we were both inspired by the same type of stuff, most likely referring to Akira Toriyama's work. Now, the one thing you could take out of this is that Kishimoto is a very genuine, honest person, and that's why he's been able to maintain friendships or assistance for 15 straight years. That's not an easy thing to do for some people. I don't know that many people who have a lot of people they've worked with for 15 straight years. Granted, a lot of the people I know are my age, roughly, right, and I'm not that old, but 15 years is a long time to work with somebody and to entrust something so important as the future of your series too. So Kishimoto is somebody who probably gets along with people very well. These two probably clicked immediately. Now, I did some research. I tried to find Cosmos by Ikemoto, but I couldn't find it. Instead, I found another series called Cosmos about a cross-dressing boy, and I ain't even trying to read that. So let's move on with the interview and let's dig into the meat. I figured his art was too good for a gag manga, and guys, this man's art is too good for a gag comedy manga. I mean, y'all love the Momoshiki Kinshiki fusion, right? You might not even like Corpse Clone Shojiji as a character, but you could appreciate the art behind that character. Remember that picture that came out of what looked to be like Naruto in the future, looking depressed, looking like, you know, Jiraiya 2.0? That was art done by Ikemoto himself. So this guy's art is fire. Like, this guy, this is why I totally trust this guy to work on the Boruto series and designing all the future characters, because if he could design all these characters back to back to back to back, who knows how the future Otsutsuki clan threats coming to Earth to wreak havoc will look like. They will look dope. Now, Shonen Jump brings up the fact that Cosmos linked those two together, and eventually Kishimoto talks about how he ended up meeting Mikio, and it was a real sense of relief. He said that he went to the train station near his studio and home at the time to meet all the assistants. I remember that Mikio was wearing sunglasses the first time I met him. Ikemoto sensei responds, I wanted to look tough. Yes, because wearing sunglasses is gonna make you look tough. Kishimoto sensei says, I thought it was cute. Now, Ikemoto starts talking about Kishimoto because of Shonen Jump. They ask the question, Ikemoto sensei, what about when you first met Kishimoto sensei? Ikemoto responds, for me, I had no clue what kind of person he would be. I had so much going through my head when we first met. I thought he seemed scary for a second, but then he seemed so nice. I started wondering if he had a hidden side. This is just making me giggle, guys, which scared me. I noticed that we shared a lot of influences. We went to his house, and I was trying to glean information based on what it looked like. I noticed how he didn't wear slippers in the house. Let's just say my mind was spinning out of control. I bet you he thought Kishi was like a low-key pervert or something like that. Had like a stack of hentai hiding under his bed or something like... I mean, I don't want to make accusations, guys, but scary, really? And you go into someone's house and they don't wear slippers and you think they're like a bad person because of that? Now, if I'm not mistaken, I heard that you're supposed to take off your shoes and you're supposed to be barefoot in an Asian person's house. I am not 100% sure about that. There could be regional differences, but that is something I heard. So make sure you do that, especially if it's like a Japanese friend. You better impress them, all right? Otherwise, their mom gonna like lock you in the closet or something for that, right? Chop you up, put you in the sushi. That's disgusting, guys. I don't know why I thought of that. Now, the interview gets deeper, and Kishimoto talks about how, again, this guy designed Zabuza, Haku, Third Hokage's outfit, and apparently the reason for that, according to Kishimoto, is at the time I started designing a ton of ninja characters. I wasn't happy with some of them, so it wasn't going as well as I hoped. I had the Chunin exam coming up, and I needed many shinobi to fill the story. That's why I asked Mikio for his help on Zabuza and Haku. So, two things here. Number one, Mikio's artwork is freaking amazing, and he completely excelled, especially when it came to Zabuza and Haku. Number 2. The Chunin exams probably rushed a lot of the stuff in the story early on. And sometimes I wonder how the story would turn out if Kishimoto was given all the time in the world, all the resources in the world to make an amazing series versus being rushed. And that's why a lot of people I know that really don't like Part 2 or Shippuden and didn't like the route that Naruto took. A lot of them love the Land of the Waves arc. A lot of them love the stuff right up around the Chunin exams arc, and then they start falling off the series. And one of the reasons why they probably didn't like it as much is because it started focusing on Naruto and Sasuke completely versus the world building, the story. I mean, if they focused on the world building more early on, maybe Naruto could have reached 50% of like One Piece's world building? I'm just throwing baseless claims, I don't know. But the Land of the Waves arc was early on, right? And the Chunin exams was pretty long, it was pretty stretched out, but that's where the Naruto versus Sasuke theme started developing more and more and more. A lot of us jumped on board the Naruto series when there was already a foundation built, right? But what about before Kishimoto really blew up and Naruto was a big thing, especially in the West, where demands were extremely high to where in Japan they were like, yo, you gotta continue this because everybody abroad is loving it. At the end of the day, you don't know what's going through Kishimoto's mind on a weekly basis when he's creating material, when he's feeling rushed. And that's part of the reason why Kishimoto is not involved in the Boruto series, because it's that taxing on the mind, on the soul. Creating a long-running Shonen Jump successful series is a hidden gem, bro. I know people are hyping the hell out of Boku no Hero Academia, but just give it some time. Let's see how long that shit runs. Will it run 10 years? Will it be successful for 10 straight years? That is a story to be told, and I'm gonna have to say no. How did Ikemoto Sensei come to work on the Boruto manga, Shonen Jump asks. Ikemoto Sensei responds, as the Naruto serialization was coming to an end, we talked about how it'd be neat if the series could be rebooted and drawn by a new artist just like an American comic. At that point, it was just talk, and I hadn't been working on my own thumbnails for a long time. I think it was presented to me because they thought it would be something that would appeal to me and motivate me. We talked it over for a good 6 months to a year. If it was just going to be a sequel, then Kishimoto should definitely draw it. Plus, if it's a continuation, you're bound to whatever came before. But with the reboot, you could do whatever you want and nobody can complain. That's actually bullshit. Everybody can complain. I really like that aspect of it, but when I received the story, it was totally a sequel. And at that point, I was in too deep to escape. He was too deep in the sauce. Kishimoto responds, when I ended Naruto, Shueisha asked me if I was interested in continuing the story. I had done everything I wanted to do with the series, so I wasn't up for it. That has to do with the fact that he was just overworked and tired and exhausted. Same reason why Togashi took like a bazillion breaks, and we got the Hunter x Hunter manga back right now, but don't get too comfortable, please. I was fine with ending it at that point, but if Mikio-kun wanted to draw the sequel, then I was okay with it. I told him that it had to be him. Shonen Jump says, is that based on the trust you two built over the years? Kishimoto Sensei responds, definitely. His art and instincts are great. There are certain things that only he can do, and he knows the world from helping me with the character designs. I knew I could count on him to do a great job. We worked together for 15 years. There's a lot of trust there. Ikemoto Sensei says, you're always together while working on manga. It's rare to be together with someone who's not a family member for that long. Shonen Jump says that's a serious relationship of trust. Kishimoto says, so Mikio agreed to do it, and that's how the serialization started. I just wish he had been able to make his debut with the Cosmos series. He received 600 pieces of fan mail from that one shot, and for it not to make it is unfortunate. If he wasn't going to create his own series, then I wanted him to get published, even if it was continuing my work. The biggest reason why the Boruto manga exists is because I wanted to read what he creates. So 15 years of amazing things like Zabuza Haku, Third Hokage's battle attire, a lot of backgrounds, a lot of, I guess, experiences just seeing Kishimoto pen the story allowed him to gain some insight as to what to possibly do with a sequel, even though he himself didn't feel like he could take on the responsibility of something like that. Maybe he'd face backlash, and rightfully so. If the story sucked, a lot of Naruto fans would complain like, yo, Kishimoto ain't working on this, that's why it sucks. So he felt as if a reboot would be safe for him to F up. But then the story was presented, Shueisha ain't want no damn reboot, alright? They wanted a sequel, and once he got too deep in the sauce, he was too deep in the sauce. He had to continue the story, and that's amazing, guys. Honestly, like, I'm really excited to see what the Boruto manga brings now, even though it's monthly, and even if you aren't the biggest fan of the Boruto manga, maybe because it's monthly, and you are a fan of the anime, it's going to translate over. And if Ikemoto becomes directly involved with the anime more and more and more, that's where I'm gonna feel like this shit's gonna be fire in the future, right? We're gonna deal with all the movie stuff, we're gonna develop the world, and then that's where the Boruto story is gonna really shine. Because right now I know a lot of people just are tired of the stuff that's like has to do with the academy, has to do with the rehash, has to do with building up all these characters. Maybe they feel it's too slow. And to these people I gotta say, be patient, right? Like, nothing just comes out of thin air. But on the other hand, I do see the potential. And with an interview like this, guys, I feel reassured. So tell me what you guys think in the comment section below. Have you seen some of this dude's art? It's absolutely